I'd like to say we're also joined now by the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, joining me now live from Edinburgh. Of course, so you were talking at the Conservative Party conference a short while ago. With a lot going on at Sky News Centre this afternoon, Kemi, in terms of breaking news. And so whilst you're here, let's just get your views on this news coming across the news wires about the US Supreme Court striking down President Trump's sweeping tariffs, saying that that power belongs in Congress, not in the White House. What are your thoughts on that?
So from our perspective, what is in the British national interest? This is very good news. I was the UK's Trade Secretary for 2 years, and I travelled all around the world working to bring tariffs down. Tariffs are bad for both sides. The consumer in the country that's putting on the tariffs has to pay more, and they also make it harder for the other country to sell. I understand what President Trump was trying to do. He's trying to protect industry in the US. We need to do the same here. But tariffs should be used carefully to stop, dumping from China or other countries, flooding your market, breaking rules. That's when you use tariffs. You might use them during short periods to help a particular area for very brief periods. What President Trump did was quite sweeping. I spoke against it at the time. I said it wasn't what Ronald Reagan would do. We are free trading nations. The UK is a trading country. So overall, this is good news for us. Let's hope it holds.
You believe that if you had been Prime Minister or our Prime Minister at the time, that you would have been able to persuade President Trump not to impose trade tariffs on the UK?
Well, yes. Remember, when we were last in government, we were actually negotiating a comprehensive free trade agreement, not a little tariff deal, which was going up and down. We had good relations with the White House at the time. We still do. We've been having lots of conversations with them as a Conservative Party about this terrible Chagos deal, which Keir Starmer has been negotiating. I mean, if people think what President Trump has been doing is bad, they need to look at what Keir Starmer has been negotiating. He sells the UK down the river at every opportunity, because he doesn't know how to negotiate. We need something better.
OK, and I will talk to you about Chagos in just a few minutes, I promise. But first, I can't start the interview without talking to you about Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. Of course, I'm sure you were watching with the rest of the world news of his arrest yesterday. What is your reaction to what's been happening?
I think the King is absolutely right to have said what he said. The law must run its course. No one is above the law, not even members of the royal family. I think that's right. And what those of us in public life should do now is give the police the space to carry out their investigation. In fact, what I think is really interesting is the contrast between how His Majesty has handled this situation versus how the Prime Minister handled a situation with Peter Mandelson, also embroiled in this Jeffrey Epstein scandal. The Prime Minister spent his time covering it up, not wanting to release papers, telling people that Mandelson was doing a fantastic job until he could hide it no longer, and then he had to sack him. I think the King has set an exemplary example.
Do you think King Charles has got this right? In effect, do you think that he's able to protect the institution of the monarchy and also have care over his brother?
I think that the King has got this absolutely right, a very difficult line to walk, but the monarchy is more than any one individual. It is one of our country's greatest institutions. We are a constitutional monarchy, and I think that the fact that he took a tough decision and previously had stripped Prince Andrew of his titles shows that he took this very seriously. He is thinking about the future of our country, of our constitutional monarchy, not just himself.
And yet, Andrew is still in line to the throne, isn't he? Do you think Parliament should be looking at legislating to remove that right?
I think right now, Parliament and people in public life need to focus on letting the police carry out this investigation. This is not yet a charge. He's been spoken to. We need to let that process run through its course fully before we start talking about other things.
David's gone further, the Liberal Democrat leader. He says Parliament could have a role to play. I mean, as leader of the opposition, would you support that if he made a move?
I think he's saying something so that he can get on the news. Right now, the people who have a serious role to play are the police, and we need to let them carry out their duties. Parliament should spend more time looking at what the Prime Minister is doing. We are still waiting for the full release of all of the files surrounding the scandal of Peter Mandelson. The Prime Minister sacked the Cabinet Secretary who was overseeing the release of those files. He's just appointed a brand new person. I think Parliament has got a lot of work to do cleaning out its own house.
Yeah, the reason I keep bringing this up is a YouGov poll that was released just a few hours ago has found that 82% of people think that Andrew should be removed from being in the royal line of succession. People really, really care about this, but you're not prepared to take a position on it?
Right now, I think we should let the police do their job and focus on the actual job we have in hand. As Leader of the Opposition, my job is to hold the Prime Minister to account, not Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. Let the police do their job. The person who I need to focus on is Keir Starmer, who's doing a terrible job, who is covering up the release of the files around Peter Mandelson. I'm doing my job and I want to focus on priorities, not just chase what's in the newspapers on a particular day. That would be me not doing my job.
OK, and one final question. I mean, would you welcome Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor into Parliament? Do you think that he should face questions from a committee of MPs, perhaps?
No, I think that he should face police questions, which is what is happening. Parliament should do its job of holding the Prime Minister to account. Let's not forget, he also, because he appointed Peter Mandelson, has now got himself embroiled in this Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Parliament should focus on the job it has been elected to do, and part of the job of the opposition is making sure that the government is being held to account. I think the government is very happy for people to be distracted by what's happening to Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor. I'm not going to be distracted from doing my job.
OK, I'd love to get your views on lots of foreign news that's happening this weekend in particular, and certainly today. We know that Yvette Cooper, the Foreign Secretary, is currently in Washington meeting her counterpart, Marco Rubio. I mean, you were on Sky News just a few weeks ago saying that Iran is the big story, it's the big issue you're concerned with right now. And we hear from President Trump that military action could take place as soon as this weekend. He says that they are ready. One Saturday, that's tomorrow. How concerned are you about this geopolitical positioning and geopolitical position right now?
Well, this has been building up for a very long time. And it's why this deal that the Prime Minister is striking on the Chagos Islands is so important and has come into the fore. Iran is a malign influence in that part of the Middle East. In fact, it's a malign influence all over the world. It has tried to kill people on our soil. We know that it is a terrible regime, brutalizes its own people. And if there is any action that is in the British national interest, I think that the UK should look at that, look at what is right for our national security. But of course I'm concerned. This is an escalation. There are very serious questions of national security that need to be thought through. And sadly, right now, I think we've got a Prime Minister and a Labour government who are distracted with their own problems.
On the issue of the Chagos Islands, I know there's something that you've talked about an awful lot. There are reports that the UK government would not permit US forces to use British air bases for any strike because of international legal concerns. And that's maybe one of the reasons why President Trump has come out against the Chagos deal just a few days ago. Would you allow them? Would you allow them to use UK bases to strike Iran?
If it's in the UK national interest, then yes. It is more important for me, as leader of the Conservative Party, to make sure that UK bases are being used for action that is in UK interest, more important than listening to an advisory ruling by a court that has other interests that it's thinking about. We need to look after our country, our national security, our national interest. That's what we're elected to do. OK, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Kemi Badenoch there. Thank you.